My name is Rose Moran and I'm a member of the Longford Writers Group. I'm very happy to be part of this recording, which has been arranged by Mary Carlton Reynolds, County Librarian, for Culture Day. The two pieces I've chosen are two poems. The first one comes from my primary school reader in 3rd and 4th class. The words of this came back to me as I was walking the Royal Canal during a more restrictive COVID time. And I was wondering would I remember it all, because it was a rather long poem, but short stanzas and short lines. The poem is When I Was a Little Girl by Alice Milligan. I thought at the time and since that perhaps she had written only one poem, because I had never come across her name or her work in all the years afterwards in school or since. But when I looked up, I was greatly surprised to find that she was a prolific writer, and she had been published in several genres: poetry, plays, short stories, novels, biographies, memoirs, letters, travelogues, and journalism. So she had come from a Methodist Unionist background and was one of a family of 9. And what attracted us as 8 and 9-year-olds to the poem was the simplicity of it. It was about children being called in from play, but we knew they had a different experience. It was a nurse that was looking after them. And we detected the rebel spirit in one of the little girls, which incidentally was about herself. She had been in that Methodist Unionist background, but she came to understand the spirit of the people looking for their freedom. And though educated in King's College in London and in Derry and Belfast, she spent a year in Dublin learning the Irish language and went back to Belfast and was teaching it there. She got an honorary doctorate for her work for Irish culture and the Irish language from the National University of Ireland, presented by the then Chancellor and later President in De Valera. So this is the poem. When I Googled it, I found there were 2 extra stanzas in it that hadn't been in our reader. And of course, they made no difference to us at that time. But now, subsequently, they gave the Republican and the political side of her character and her writing. When I Was a Little Girl by Alice Milligan. When I was a little girl in a garden playing, a thing was often said to chide us delaying, when after sunny hours at twilight's falling, down through the garden walks came our old nurse calling, "Come in, for it's getting late and the grass will wet ye. Come in, or when it's dark the Fenians will get ye." Then at this dreadful news, all helter-skelter, the panic-struck little folk ran home for shelter, and round the nursery fire sat still to listen, 50 bare toes on the hearth, 10 eyes at glisten, to hear of a night in March, with loyal folks waiting, to see an army of men come devastating. The next 2 stanzas weren't in the reader. An army of papists grim, with green flag o'er them, red coats and black police flying before them. But God, whom our nurse said guards British dominions, sent down a fall of snow and scattered the Fenians. So back to our reader. But somewhere they're lurking yet. Maybe they're near us. 4 little hearts pit-a-pat thought, can they hear us? Then the wind-shaken pane sounded like drumming. Oh, they cried, took us in, the Fenians are coming. But one little rebel there, watching all with laughter, thought, when the Fenians come, I'll rise and go after. Wished she'd been a boy and a good deal older, able to walk for miles with a gun on her shoulder, able to raise aloft the green flag o'er them, red coats and black police flying before them, and as she dropped asleep, was wondering whether God, if they prayed to him, would give fine weather. So that's Alice Milligan's poem, and incidentally, it was published in her first book of poetry, but she wanted to leave that poem out of it in case it would offend unionists. But gladly, the publisher persuaded her to leave it in, and it was also in the readers at school up to the 1960s. The second poem I've chosen is from my own latest collection, Beside the Singing River, and it is dedicated, the poetry in it, collection in it, is to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the death of Leo Casey, the Ballymahan and Inniside River poet. The piece I'm taking from it is called Sculpted in My Mind, and it's subtitled The Four Patricks. Approaching from the back, I noticed him in copper green hat and short coat, seated on an old stone wall. It could have been a sculpture of the poet Patrick Kavanagh, but in the city of the tribes, native to his soul, it had to be Padraig O'Connor. Views from the side and front show his unspectacled face, his left foot resting its toe cap over the right, and a pen in his hand. He had already sculpted himself in my mind. First year in second level introduced us to his travels, Masel Beag Dove, my little black donkey. First year in college, we met Patrick Kavanagh of stony grey soil memories. The two Patricks called to mind a third, in the voice of an old woman of the roads. She and her author go back to my primary school days, and the lines by Padraig Cullum, carved in stone at Longford's memorial, famine memorial. A fourth Patrick, farthest back, framed in full vestment, emerald green, a gold staff, mitred head, under his feet snakes curl. He travelled and left us his story in writing and folklore. Pilgrimages, parades, people, place names, holy wells, keep alive his faith and culture. Thank you.